And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You'll be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate everybody. And now, what we'll be doing is going over to the other screen. Right? Okay, and alright, so shout out to everybody. It is Alien Spaceship, and I hope everybody has been having a good day, evening, good afternoon, wherever you all are. So, today, starting off with weather. Oh, hello, Lori. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, weather was pretty cold last night, and during the day it was warm. Now it's kind of stormy looking. We had a good garden live last night, and we had a good crowd. And yes, also glad to have chat here. And we did the coverage, last few days about the Hawaii trial. Now, when the verdict was going to come in, there was the internet decided to have a stroke for no reason. But I enjoy doing the Hawaii trial stream, and I'll be doing more trials and doing corrections so that won't happen again. Looking into fixing that up, and I appreciate everybody for hanging in there and sticking in with us. So uh, that was our first trial we did. The first trial we streamed live. All right, Lori said we have lightning strikes. Oh yeah, Duke, scared. And Lori said we have lightning strikes 20 miles away, and the sky is foreboding. Oh yeah, yeah. The internet had a stroke. Yes, yeah, scared. And for no reason at all. That was something I have not seen it do like that before. So it was definitely with the setup. I'm going to get a back in like over 10 years ago we had something different going on, and we have to go back to how it was before. That should stop the issues that happen sometimes. Yeah, and some people were not happy with the verdict. Other people were. It depends on the person. Now, there's a new trial. Oh, by the way, Lori said skies foreboding. Oh, yeah, you see, lightning, I do like lightning and thunder. I think, of course, like being inside listening to it or looking at it from. Although I like going in storms, I've gone through storms before, like I've been like in them. Not like the best idea, but it's something that has happened. And it is really crazy to think about how those lightning storms, they some people get really scared of them. Animals don't like them though. Animals don't like them at all. And well, some animals probably don't mind it, but a lot of the cats and stuff and dogs don't like that type of weather. So we definitely like the the rain and storms, but not everybody does. I'm sure the sky is foreboding. Amen. I pray no wildfires start too. I agree. And yeah, definitely something to think about because some places get really bad wildfires, and other places will get them. Well, won't get any wildfires. So I do think that is something to be concerned about because a wildfire could just come out of nowhere, and then everybody has to leave and flee where they are, and it takes over everything. So we've seen Lori, we've seen streams about wildfires, and it can be nasty, definitely. And I mean, I've heard that like the weather and the wind and stuff it causes and the dryness causes the wildfires to happen. So now something to say here. Let's see. Explaining how these things start. Here, yeah, for those that don't know, this is how wildfires start. You know, it starts with the weather being very, it's very dry areas usually. Then it expands to other regions as well. And yeah, September 2020, we had the holiday farm fire and many others here in Oregon. It was so bad. Yeah, I mean, I could think that it looks like basically hell on earth. That's why I don't blame people that say that we already are in hell the way our world is. I mean, that is, you know, really wild to see that it happened in Oregon, the holiday farm. So, do you think the farm had something in it that caused them to have the fire happen in the first place, or it was just something that happened because of the conditions? Because sometimes people can have the conditions on their land right for it to happen by mistake. But yeah, uh, hopefully that doesn't happen again, especially where you are, Lori. All right, so those that don't know, wildfires require three key components to ignite and burn, often called fire triangle: heat, oxygen, and fuel. While they can't start naturally, the vast majority, historically around 85 to 90%, are caused by human activities. Debris burning. Escaped embers from burning yardwood or waste or garbage are a leading cause. Lori said, "Look, wild. I took wildland free science at OSU. There's a lot of it, too much fuel, like densely planted trees and excess forest floor litter, makes the fires catastrophic." Okay, thank you. Uh, that definitely would cause that to happen. Right. Yeah. And yeah, all that just working together like that certainly would cause those problems to happen. So thank you. I didn't completely know all that, so I'm glad I know now. Negligence: the unattained, poorly extinguished campfire, discarded cigarettes, and fireworks equipment malfunctions. Sparks from lawnmowers, chainsaws, or tractors, and dragging vehicle chains, striking rocks, and dry bushes. Oh, yeah. It started from a down power line by the Mackenzie River. Oh, I gotcha. That makes sense. Uh, Sometimes sparks where I am will cause fires, not like wildfires, but will cause those things to happen. So yeah, definitely put down lines could definitely be a detrimental thing when it comes to these type of wildfires. Right. And electronical infrastructure downed. This just says downed are arching power lines, often caused by high winds or falling trees, have sparked some of the most destructive fires. Arson: intentional and malicious setting of fires. We had these crazy, unusual winds from the east that just created firestorm that headed downriver. Hello, Saw Girl. The night is going well. I appreciate you coming here. Hope that you are doing well too. Nice having you on board last night, the Garden Live. And we are doing rabbit holes and trials and trial conversations and stuff. Where he said we had these crazy, unusual winds from the east that just create firestorms that headed downriver. Yeah, because I heard that it brings cold fronts to where I am, but it brings wildfires to your region. Okay. Rare events: volcanic eruptions like lava, hot ash, meteors, even spark from rock slides. Oh right, Not, oh that's cool, Emily. And factors to drive the spread of fires, the fuel types. Oh yeah, Saw Girl. I have been researching about that trial because I'm not completely familiar with it. Before I did my live, I was researching that trial, and yeah, definitely that dude's a pedophile, a serial killer type dude. Definitely. I wonder if he's had other victims and they weren't detected, but it's allegedly his only victim. Yeah, it certainly was heartbreaking indeed. Yeah, and I just thought his, he lured her in that van and did all the evil stuff. I mean, and he came off as like a cool guy, but he really wasn't. And also, Saw Girl, I will be. I want to also thank you, Saw Girl, for being here yesterday for the Hawaii trial. I know toward the end the internet had a stroke, but I appreciate all of you being here when we were streaming it. And I will continue. I will also continue to air trials. I will continue to do that, and I will get this other system I had in place from a while back to help the stream to stay more stable. Also, we'll be getting that done soon. Lori said, "When I drove upriver spring 2021, I cried for 30 miles. Gorgeous trees, many homes, entire towns, all gone, but it's regenerating well." Oh, well, I that is a very horrible thing to experience, and to see all that get destroyed. And it looks like hell on earth. You know, that's what that basically is. Scared. That is a traumatic event. I'm sure the smell was really weird because I know it's burning, but it's all kinds of things burning at once. So yeah, that was terrible. The homes and the trees and all, but it's good that it's able to rejuvenate. You know, whenever they rejuvenate, I am glad to see it because uh, see everything rejuvenate. Sometimes with the seed, a seed will only catch fire. Some seeds can only bloom after a fire. So after wildfires, some trees are able to grow. So I think it's fascinating how nature works. And Emily said, "Oh, she was able to get the message." Yeah, and Emily wants to. Yeah, Oregon. She's talking about Oregon. We had falling ash and orange sky, so smoky for what felt like forever. The Mackenzie River Valley. I got you. Winds are major drivers to supply more oxygen that carries the embers miles away. Let's see. Okay, so Mount St. Helen is located in Washington State. Hey, Roman, welcome to the stream. The confusion often arises because the volcano is very close to the border, only about 50 miles northeast of Portland, Oregon. Because its visibility from major parts of Portland during the 1980 eruption, many people mistakenly associated it with that. All right. And let's see. Emily says they had a pretty big fire here last year. It was in one of the wealthier neighborhoods, and I think it was called the Palisades fire. Anyway, yeah, it burned a lot of millionaires' homes, actor singers. That is really, you see, fires could happen to anybody. The fires don't discriminate; they go after anybody when they're lit. So definitely, the fires can happen anywhere to anybody. You're welcome, Emily. To and thank you, Lori, for also telling her to. Yeah, it's like there's some things that I don't always know about certain things geography, so it's a definitely all in learning experiences. Right. Yes, Oregon Oregon rains a lot. I have a friend that lives up there, and she told me it was always dark and rainy. Where he said, I went outside to feed my horse the morning St. Helens blew up. I heard what I thought was an intense blasting at the nearby quarry, but it was St. Helens. Whoa, Lori, you remember all that. Wow. Okay, so I think with St. Helen, oh, my grandparents down here, the pool they had lots of ash and had lots of ash and soot in it. So some of the debris from St. Helen came all the way down here. Yeah, definitely scary days. Now, Lori, did you see the explosion? Like, tell me, what was it like? Did the sky get dark from the volcano eruption? Out of curiosity. The irony is the extra rain creates a lot of the fuel for fires. Okay. Oh, autocorrect. Yeah, I understand. Autocorrect can be from Timu. Definitely could be Timu cringe. Yes, we had Ash in Louisiana. Yes. And let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm listen. I do summer. We do have summer droughts from about late June to Thursday, through September, which is normal. I was in Walpart, about 20 miles away. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, the rain definitely does set the conditions right for that to happen. Definitely. Think I'm all caught up. Oh, I wish no, she was in okay, but I we did have heavy ash fall. It made the sky darker. Yeah, because it came all the way down here. Okay, and yeah, so when that happens, when the sky gets like that, it it definitely will be a wake up call because it knows that something's going on. So I'm sure it was very apocalyptic, especially for the people that were there. The ash had silicates in it, so you couldn't wipe it off the cars. Had to wash it off. Very messy. Yeah. Oh, I definitely can imagine. It was. I said my grandparents. They were telling me about the ash and how difficult it was to get out. But yeah, it blew up and came all the way down here and trickled down to this region of the world. So it's allegedly going to erupt again at some point. I don't know when that will be. And also, California's due to have some earthquake, but you know, yeah, there's definitely things in nature that just seem to be ticking time bombs. Like down here, there is a 100-year hurricane that comes in and wipes out everything. So it's also all over the place. There's these things in nature that are just like timing bombs. Lori said, an old man, Harry Truman, lived at Spirit Lake and wouldn't leave his home. The river was full of downed trees, mud flows. It was crazy. Yeah, um, where I am, there's people that didn't want to leave the city after the when there's a hurricane that was an apocalypse that was coming in. Oh, you were 11 years old. Okay, yeah. Uh, when the hurricanes came in, there were some people that didn't want to leave their homes because they lived there for so long. So yeah, I definitely, it happens here too. It happens in other places when these disasters and stuff come. Yeah, well, for a young girl, that had to be something extremely like look probably felt like the world was ending when these types of things happen. The I was around that age when I learned about Mount St. Helen when it happened. It went through the sky, and I was like, "Whoa, that's something wild." There's a video of a reporter who made it out from St. Helen. It's apocalyptic. Oh well, I'll definitely look that up. Absolutely. Okay. Let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna give everybody a recap about Mount St. Helen. Dave Crockett. That's a good name. That's a good name. I'll uh, definitely look that one up. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, so Mount St. Helens is the North America's most active volcano. Now, Lori, do is there tornadoes in your region or not? Some places don't have tornadoes, and others have them all the time. Mount St. Helens, North America's most active volcano, and is famously known for its catastrophic 1980 eruption, which fundamentally changed our understanding of geology, ecology, and recovery. Let's see. On May 18, 1980, the mountain underwent a dramatic transformation in just a few minutes. Ah, okay. Thank you for the link. All right, let's put this over here. That is incredible. Oh, thank you. That's incredible that he went through all that. It looks like the world is ending. It reminds you of Pompeii, the place where in Rome where there is a collapse of civilization. Yeah. So thank you for sending me that. That is definitely a wild one indeed to look into. And so for people to know that at 8:32 a.m., magnitude of 5.1 earthquake triggered the largest recorded landslide in history, causing the volcano. Sawgirl said, "I was 21 years old in 80. Oh gosh, this doesn't seem like that erupted that long ago. Time has flown." Yeah, my grandparents were living in another area. So where I am right now is where my grandpa's parents lived. This place where I'm at right now, another dude lived here. Nickname was Sonny. So different. So grandparents are a little bit further out to the west part of the city, and yeah, there is some raining ash on the in the pool. Yeah, time has flown. Indeed. All right, so at 32 a.m., a magnitude 5.1 earthquake triggered the largest recorded landslide in history, causing the volcano's entire north flank to collapse. Lateral blast. As mountains side gave way, it uncorked the pressurized magma inside the resulting horizontal explosion that traveled over 300 miles per hour. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I knew the person that lived here before I was here. He was a family friend. And he lived here since the 50s, 40s. His family lived there, 40s, 50s. And next door, grandparents lived there since the family has been there since the 1950s. Destruction. So, in just 3 minutes, the blast flattened 230 square miles of old growth forest. The summit was lowered by 1,300 feet, leaving the horse hoe shaped crater a horse. No, see, my mind read that wrong. I had a Timu Sheen moment. Horse shoe, not horse hoe. I need to get some soap to clean the alien mind up. Where did I get that from? It was the leaving the horseshoe-shaped crater, not the. I'm not like that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, I forgot the S part. And so Emily says that is amazing video. Oh my gosh, now it's bringing back memories because I remembered them showing it on TV back in the days way before we had cable. Yeah. All right. Oh, hello, Mark. Welcome to the stream. All right, and ash cloud, a vertical plum rose 80,000 feet high, spreading ash across 11 U.S. states and encircling the globe with 15 days. Ecological record, no, ecological recovery and biological legacies. Contrary to early fears that the area would be a dead zone for decades, life began returning to almost immediately. Survivors. Organisms like the pocket gopher, deer mice, and certain limpins survive the underground or beneath the snow patches. Pioneer species. The prairie lupine was a key pioneer on the barren pumice plain. It can pull nitrogen directly from the air, creating a small pockets of fertile soil for other plants. Water quality. Aquatic ecosystems recovered fast, terrestrial ones. Most lakes returned within a few years. Debris settled and nutrients were recycled. Ghost forests. On the edges of the blast, standing dead, the trees remained a stark visual reminder of the heat that scorched them without knocking them down. All right, so that is about Mount St. Helens. Yeah, so yeah, the video reminds you of that time. It's definitely Mount St. Helen was well one indeed. Okay, so let's open up this one. Let's go here. All right, we're gonna flip over to the other screen, and let's go there. All right, this is the disaster of Mount St. Helen. Yeah, Mark says fraud star, gang star, sis star, miss star, monstar, rock star, four star. Scared. Facts. There are people who say a bunch of Sasquatch were trying to escape the aftermath, but I can't back that up. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. All right, so these are some scenes from Mount St. Helen, and let's see this, and that's the cars buried in ash, and then you have that happen. Wow, that looks like an apocalypse. Wow, that really looks like apocalyptic. And let's see, and then that is one right there. See the damage. All right, I'll show it. I'll do it. just remember, chat, there could be some copyright thing that may occur, but it should pass over if it happens. So have that disclaimer out the way. I'll go and play it. All right. Let's go this way and do this. Okay. Playing it right now. Shout out to the Spaceship Cats, and here we go.
25 years ago today, a Como 4 News photographer had a hunch. So Dave Crockett headed to Mount St. Helens, pretty sure that something was going to happen. Boy, was he right. He spent the night there, and then at 8:32 a.m., May 18th, 1980, the volcano blew its top. Como 4's Bob Thronson says Crockett was an eyewitness to what he called hell on earth.
On that Sunday morning, this was the mountain Dave Crockett came to photograph.
I really don't know how to describe it. It was just a feeling that something was going on.
Yeah, and so this is Dave Crockett during the St. Helen disaster. And I think that this is really a wild thing. And this is just telling his heroic tale of how he survived it. All right, and Lori says, the South Sister in Cascades, just east of me, is being watched closely. She has voltage predicted erupt at some point. Oh, okay, well, I'm glad it's being watched. That is scared. Okay, go.
Going to happen, and I just needed to be here.
It is 8:32 a.m.
I knew I had to get out of there. I started down the valley, look at my rearview mirror, and there's just a wall of debris, mud, steam, rocks, boulders, and full-size trees just rolling along. The whole valley's disappearing behind me. Came down here, ended up right here. I was right about here. The whole this whole little area here just disappeared in front of me completely. It's just a big explosion of mud and trees, and I was just blocked off. At that point, I just jumped out of my car, grabbed my film camera, and I went right up there on that ridge where I had a view just over the trees of the mountain, and I could see what was happening.
Yeah, that looks like an apocalypse. Definitely looks like an apocalypse. Yes, fall under the Fair Use Act. I agree. So that's why I said to Grill, it's not a big deal. It's fair use. Yes. I just was giving you all like a heads up. Because one time I was playing for Moki a documentary about these people on a podcast talking about aliens, and it gave me like a copyright thing in the middle of the stream. Just YouTube's is goofy, but it's no big deal. It's no problem. I'm glad they showed this, and I want to show it too. Yeah, and then right here, yeah, very big explosion, and you can see the fire billowing in the sky.
I opened the door and the alarm started going off, but it was kind of the least of my concerns at that point. The ground is moving, I could feel the earthquakes. The wind is being sucked up towards the mountain, towards the blast. By this time you can hear the mountain rumbling. Constant rumbling, grinding, growling sound. I had this huge cloud of material with lightning and blue and purple colors, rumbling, you could see lightning hitting the ground. I had to get away from that.
Dave starts walking uphill, through the steaming mud, through the ash cloud. He turns on the camera.
This looks like hell on earth. This looks like the painting that they had in mythology about Odin's ride in the sky. That's what that looks like.
Camera and starts to talk.
Well, dear God, whoever finds this, I don't know. You can't see this, I'm sure it's too dark. I've left the car behind. The rest of the gear, we got one magazine. And as you can tell probably from this picture, I'm walking towards the only light I can see on top of a ridge. I can hear the mountain behind me rumbling. It's an enormous mud and water slide came down and washed out the road. I never really thought I believed this or say this, but at this moment, I honest to God believe I'm dead. There's really no way to describe those feelings. I feel the ash now in my eyes. It's getting very hard to breathe. Burns to breathe. I'm having trouble talking. Burns to breathe. Burns my eyes. Oh dear God. My God, this is hell.
Oh, that was very brave of him. Well, that's all he had. I mean, he had no other way to do anything. But that is, very brave of him to do that. Let's see. Is he still alive? Let's go. Okay, Dave Crockett. Let's see. Helen. Alright, let's see. Let's figure this out. He is still alive. Yes.
I just can't describe it. It's pitch black. Just pitch black. This is hell on earth I'm walking through.
Hello, Nana. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, I got the wrong attitude here, man. This would be something to tell my grandchildren about. Oh, man. The breeze started blowing the ash out, and all of a sudden I realized I could breathe a little better, and I could see a little bit of greenness. It wasn't pitch black. I could see maybe a couple feet. At that point, I took a photograph of myself with a wide-angle lens, held the camera out in front of me, and click, and I had a big smile on my face. I was just covered with ash, just my hair was sticking straight out, but I think you can tell from the expression on my face, I thought then maybe I was going to get out.
When I finally realized I had made it and I was going to live, I just started laughing and screaming out loud and just yelling at the mountain.
St. Helens would claim many lives today, but not this one.
All right, so thank you, chat, Lori and Emily. I'm glad to show that for everybody. So, if that was a scene from a survivor of Mount St. Helen, it certainly is a horrid scene. And right there, look at that. Emily says, wonderful, I bet he thinks about that often, if not every day. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, being so close to death and living, it has to be, traumatic. Oh, you're welcome, Lori. My pleasure. It has to be traumatic, and it has to be, a good, you survived and you're there, but you could have not been there. So, it's definitely a combination of a bittersweet situation. I mean, it completely, destroyed all these vehicles. It completely tore through everything. And as I said, it came all the way down south. All the way down here. That's where it went all the way to. The ash. That's why, there's always something to be thankful about, as they say. And just, the universe, the planets, what is stopping this from happening every single day? Anything to just wipe us all out and cut the power grid or something. So that's why trusting, that things make sense somehow is a good thing, because, anything could happen to anybody at any moment. So, yeah, certainly a daring historical event. Oh, 22 years later. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely. There was a movie, and I remember 2002. Yeah, I liked there's lots of cool movies out for me to see, and things weren't. I mean, I like the technology we have. I'm not complaining about this time period, but yeah, there's lots of cool movies to see, and I don't know, just nowadays, movies. Although I'm not a kid, I'm not watching kid movies, but the movies in general are there's good movies out. Don't get me wrong, but some movies are just kind of silly. Oh, absolutely, Nana, absolutely. And I'm glad that you're here with us because I think everybody has had situations, and anybody can feel free to share their experiences. You don't have to. Feel free to share it if you like. And yeah, I've been through some things myself, and glad to be here. Where he said, I once worked with a guy who proposed to his girlfriend that day. He jokes that his proposal ricked her world. Well, what a day to propose. What a day to propose. Yeah, that definitely is, proposing on a day when such a crazy disaster happens has to be a really a memory that lives forever. It's not just any type of proposal, it's a proposal that you never forget. For real. Like, although it's an unforgettable moment, you really don't forget it. Oh, Nan said I was run off a cliff by a man texting and driving. Oh lord. That Yeah, texting and driving off the cliff. Well, I say glad that you're here with us, Nan. And you hit a boulder and stop. Well, that yeah, thankful that you hit a boulder and stopped. And a boulder is something to not you necessarily don't want to really hit a boulder, but if it helps you from falling off a cliff, then it was a good thing, a lifesaver. So yeah, texting and driving, people gotta not do that, especially if you're going off a cliff. Like, bro could have just like flown off a cliff. Like he could have just gone airborne if he's not paying attention to what he's doing. He could have just been texting and driving and went all the way out. Yes, yes. Entire neck and back is titanium. Yeah, and I'm sure that hitting that boulder was, yeah, harsh indeed. Yeah, and one of my, let's see, my friend's mom was in an accident, and she had metal plates inside of her. Just for the record, but you are very tough, Nana, to be able to hit the boulder and survive all that. Definitely, tough as iron. Dude. And no, not fun at all. Not fun at all. And although there are people that go through things that don't work out, and there's like traumatic things can happen, people do die, but I do believe that miracles occur where people could just survive some miraculous thing like that. Definitely. And they say if you're going to go like 60 miles per hour and glance down quickly, you travel about the length of a football field while not seeing the road. Well, there you go. Uh, Absolutely. And people don't realize that. Nana says, no one thought I would live except me. Oh, well, I'm glad that you definitely believed in yourself. And self belief is very important. All right. And Mark says, my mate's cousin should be Bigfoot size 15 shoes. I fit them with my shoes on. I was only roughly 12 years old. Oh, that's very cool. Very cool, Mark. And Maury said, "And your will to live is phenomenal. Thank you, Lori. Very good. Yeah, the will to live and desire to succeed can override like the laws of nature and physics. I think that's what pushes success with anything is that determination and will keep going. We had a simulation of our school a few years ago about distracted driving. It was intense. At my school, one time when I was, this is back like 13 years ago or so, they were talking about people that drink and drive and what it was like for people to do that. So you put these glasses on that simulates being drunk, and you just walk in a straight line, and you could see yourself like going off course, right? And you think you're walking in a straight line, but you're not. So they did the drunk driving thing for us about simulating that and why it's bad. So we had that, but yeah, definitely you could go so fast and not even be looking. I would say that it is people are just out of touch with what they're doing. They just time is flying faster than they're thinking it does. Oh, Mark said, my biggest car accident, I hit a side mirror on a fence. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. Car accidents can be pretty messed up. Yeah. And we're glad that you're here with us, Mark. Nan, they deserve that to be yelled at. And I'm glad you're putting them in their place because those people on their phones are going to hurt themselves or someone else. Yeah. Definitely. They need to be put in timeout for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, distracted driving is from Timu and Sheen. Cringe. Whoa. Whoa. These are dark clouds. Mark said wife wasn't happy when I used her makeup mirror for her car side mirror. Oh, uh, yeah, I'm sure she wasn't happy. And definitely, yes, indeed, that had to be. It's a mirror that you most likely needed, to get the for that moment to see what you had to see. But then again, she was upset. So yeah, that definitely. It's like sounds funny, but it's also like also kind of scared. Yeah. Lori, it blew my mind too. I couldn't really even think about like how that far away it went over where I am. It blows my mind too, and I agree with you definitely. Yeah, if it works, if it works, don't fix something that's broken. So if it works, it works. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a Grizzly site. All right. Yes, you live in the Ring of Fire. Yeah, 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 definitely scary. Definitely scary. Those are some kids looking at it. Bubblegum for Bog. All right. And yeah, yeah, that. So it said it. I'm sure people thought that the apocalypse was happening. Definitely. So, and that was Mount St. Helen that occurred. Okay, and something curious about. Let's see this other part from this right here. Yeah, and I wonder, how it would affect the world now if it erupted again. It would be all over social media. Lori says, Nan says to Lori, where do you live? Let's see. All right, the catastrophic of 1980 resulted in the 57 confirmed deaths. It remains of the deadliest volcano events in U.S. So 57 deaths confirmed. PFA glue stops the rust. My inventions, not sure, might do a patent. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, do a patent definitely. That sounds like a cool invention. Indeed. Yeah, Harry R. Truman, David A. Johnston, Robert Landsberg, a photographer who realized he couldn't escape the ash and spent his final moments capturing photos of the eruption, then protected his film with his body so it could be recovered. Oh, that's awesome, Nana. That's awesome. All right. Reed Blackburn, a photograph of the Columbia National Geographic. It was 8 miles from the summit. And the victims were in areas that were considered safe at the time. Yeah, scared. All right, let's see how these future things are prevented. All right, so the official. Let's go here. Modern monitoring technology. This is very important. Since the 80s, monitoring has evolved for a few paper graph sesimeters, the high-tech digital network that can detect the smallest changes in volcanoes' pulse in real time. Seismic networks. In 1980, only one seismometer was within 30 miles of the mountain. Today, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network monitors a dense array over dozens of sophisticated stations on the mountain itself. All right, GPS deformation. Instead of using manual triangulation that took days, scientists now use high precision global positioning system, GPS, and satellite radar as well. Oh, that's cool. Let's see. Gas analysts. Modern sensors are now monitor carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, in addition to sulfur dioxide, providing crucial clues about rising magma that weren't available in 1980. Lahar detection. Acoustic flow monitors are installed in river drainages to provide immediate warnings if a mud flow begins, a system that did not exist during the 80s event. Predictive AI. Recent advancements including machine learning algorithms trained on historic seismic data help forecast these things if they occur. So that's the technology now that people have to defend people and possibly prevent more casualties from happening. Oh, absolutely. And that is very true, Lori. That as Helen's research, as St. Helens research led to pre-volcanic eruption detection. Yes, it sure did. That's why a lot of time mistakes and failures are actually learning lessons. Yeah, and when people have this type of detection, it is a positive thing to prevent more casualties or can tell if something's going to erupt. So that's why I think if something was going to happen again, they'll be better prepared for next time than they were this time. All right. And that is the information on Mount St. Helens and some wildfires. So with the TikToks and the different streams and stuff, I guess it'll be streamed everywhere. So, and hopefully there's the wildfires that are out west cannot happen. It could happen less. Now, as we said the other day, we looked at save lives. Because if people do the same thing over and over again, they repeat the mistake. Right? And yesterday we did coverage on the Hawaii trial. So there's another trial that's going on that's very, very dark that I was keeping up with. I was learning more about it today because I'm not really familiar with the case. And the Capitol, warning, this is a dark one. Capital murder trial of Tanner Horner, a former FedEx contract driver, began on April 7, 2026. In a surprising turn of events, Horner pleaded guilty to the Capitol murder, pleaded guilty of aggravated kidnapping of the 7-year-old Athena Strand, just a proceedings that were set to start. And because of the guilty plea, understood, Larry. Understood. Because of the guilty plea, the trial bypassed the guilty innocence phase and moved directly into the sentencing phase, which is currently ongoing, determine if he will receive the death penalty or live in prison without parole. He is very cringe, Nan. I believe my opinion is that he abducted her. Because he's saying that he hit her with the vehicle, and he was like, he didn't want to be. Oh, and Mark says, I got knocked down skiing on Mount Russ Pehu. Glad I knew what snow was when I woke up and got black eye from troubles. Respect mountains. You respect the mountains, and glad that you're okay. I mean, eventually you only got a black eye, and you were able to come back. But yeah, the black eye must have hurt. It must have been very, a surprising thing, and it hurt. But glad you're able to overcome that. And it wasn't injured too much. You weren't injured too much. All right, and Nan says, Rua Pehu. Okay, thank you. It's probably New Zealand mountain. Let's see. Well, I could just change the scenery to that. Okay, this is the mountain he's talking about, and here. And New Zealand. Okay, and Emily said something, and then Nan said, he's lying, he has no injuries in the van. Exactly. Because there's a very disturbing picture of her kneeling in the van, like, in the background. And he's just driving there chilling. Because I think he completely abducted her. Because he would have lost his job, where he was going to take her. It's like he should have brought her to hospital if he was really concerned about her. I mean, that doesn't make any sense what he did. It's a complete lies. All right, so Sawgirl said, I think the state-sanctioned deletion is a much easier way out for somebody who has done something as heinous as Crazy Man versus spending your entire life locked up. Now that's punishment, in my opinion. Okay, Sawgirl, thank you for your take on that. And yeah, there's definitely a, imagine being in prison and you die of old age or natural causes or something. And a lot of people argue that that is a very mentally deteriorating thing to go through. Indeed. So, yeah. Like Charles Manson was in prison for life, and he even said like if he could go outside, he would if he could do anything, he would go and touch grass. Oh wow, wow, yeah, that's some serious skiing. And you hit ice, yeah, that's harsh, yeah, to happen. But I'm sure it definitely a fun thing to try out. But yeah, definitely the injuries, definitely happen. You're beat up all the time because you deleted a baby girl. I'm sure he won't be safe in their prison. Yeah, he'll probably try to get into protective custody. But that's where they usually put those people. But definitely what they do with that case is many of the inmates do attack people that hurt children or women, like serial killers and stuff and pedophiles. So he definitely won't be fun for him in there. If they don't, wherever he goes, in protective custody or not, they're going to probably get him. Definitely. Right. So, yeah, hopefully the inmates do justice against him. Initial confession versus evidence. Horner initially told investigators he accidentally struck Athena with his van while delivering a Christmas present. However, prosecutors presented evidence including surveillance images from inside the van showing Athena alive and unharmed after the alleged accident to argue that kidnapping was deliberate. Yeah, they need to put him in general population. Yes. We wish, but it doesn't work like that. Yeah, because there has been cases of it happening when general population gets them, but yeah, we definitely would wish for that. And Epstein was put in protective custody. And oh, well, it's the wrong screen, isn't it? Yep, it's on the wrong screen. Put it like this. Wrong. That was the wrong one to put there. Definitely. Um, and then we're going to actually put this other window up. Well, that one that's there. Put that there. And do it like this. I don't know how that happened. Anyway. There we go. If he's a PC, he will still be alone. Oh yeah, that's true, definitely. That's true. I shouldn't be alive, nearly died a few times. I believe I have a guardian angel we met when I was on LSD. Amen. And I do believe you do have a guardian angel, Mark, and he was looking out for you. So, absolutely. I believe we have those, and they're there to protect us. Yeah, she says, damn, I wish it wouldn't work like that. Gen Pop, Gen Pop, Gen Pop, all the way, Gen Pop. Facts. They need to have the general population for all of them to be put in there. Yeah, because they'll certainly deal with them. Murder. Horner admitted to attempting to break Athena's neck, and when the failed strangulation with her bare hands, he started to delete her because he feared she would tell the father about the accident. Oh, shot the bubbles. Oh yeah, she says, "Stupid autocorrect, sack." I'm just going to start putting that on the post, explaining it's autocorrect, making that SAC stands for stupid autocorrect. Okay, yeah. SAC will be autocorrect. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, autocorrect is from Timu. Okay, and there is sexual assault DNA. Evidence was found under Athena's fingernails, indicating she fought back. Prosecutors also stated that DNA was found in locations suggesting Athena may have had sexual assault. Oh yeah, Mark. Definitely with those things, they have to have the lotto numbers mentioned. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Nan says, I don't believe zero crap either. Okay. Yeah, so there's a persona that a lot of serial killers, serial leaders will have. And like Ted Bundy was like this. It's basically where there's an entity or another alternate person that exists within them that does these things, but they themselves don't do it. Like it takes over or being possessed. And they take it over. It takes them over, they say, and like the defendant was saying, he was watching these actions through Zero's eyes, and that he was just helpless to it. So it's likely a narcissistic characteristic to try to avoid responsibility, and the devil made me do it, or it's like a way of scapegoating it. Even if it was true, he really needs to be locked up or executed, because people can't be doing stuff like this and being in society. But you see, Nan, they always try to get out of it somehow. They'll try to, you know, uh, they can never take personal accountability for what their actions, And also, another thing I think is extremely cringe is that they're blaming autism, and autistic people don't do stuff like this. And he, and about his childhood trauma, although there's nothing really to defend, it's really a Timu Sheen defense. Oh, exactly, Nan. He hid the body. He was actively leaving the scene. He had he was able to drive somewhere and tell her what to do, in the vehicle. I mean, no, he was definitely knowing what he was doing, because there's arguments against that, because if he was like on autopilot, how was he able to hide the body? How was he able to go drive to place and strategically calculate these things? No, it was him. He could have, I'll tell you, it's the other way around, man. With him, is that whatever persona he displayed in real life was fake, but who he really is the person that did this. All that stuff they do is a mask, is just to look like they're normal, so people don't detect that they're into some weird stuff. Yes, most people on the spectrum are very loving. Yeah, just I hate when they do that with the autism thing. It's just they're not all doing stuff like this. They have nothing to defend, so they come up with these stupid Timu defenses. They have an alter ego, dual personality to make them feel better, so that they don't have to realize the monsters they are. Yes, Nana, thank you. And it's like basically a possibility is that they go into denial about it, and they don't want to they kind of distance themselves from what they did. It's really them, but it's they want to distance themselves by creating the alter ego, and for their own narcissistic grandiose of self, they want to feel like they're, not really like this. It's just another person within them. So a dual personality to make them feel better. Mark said that must be a hell to get drunk, wake up in a cell, remembering nothing. 10 years when the hammer fell. Yeah, it's like somebody was out for a long time. Definitely a long time to be blacked out, indeed. And it says a daughter teaches the ESE and deaf and hard of hearing kids K through 12. Oh, so shout out to her. That's very good that she does that. And the zero persona during the 2 and 3 days of testimony, the jurors watched the interrogation videos where Horner blamed the alter ego named Zero for crime. He claimed Zero took initiative because Athena was going to put us away for a long time. It reminds me of Twilight Zone, where I think Twilight Zone was ahead of its time. Yeah, there was the puppet, the dummy thing of that. You put like the ventriloquist dummy, and 20 years. Oh, that's really cool. Nearly 20 years. That's awesome. Well, she definitely sounds like a really great teacher. Indeed. There was this situation that occurred where it was an Irish immigrant, and he did lots of crime and stuff because this mannequin was telling him to do it, the dummy. But in the end, when he was getting caught, the thing didn't say anything. So that's basically the alter ego thing that Sawgirl's referring to. That it's either something made up or something within their mind that they created to cast blame on the other thing rather than themselves. Right? Yeah, call the dummy. Yes. Thanks, all girl. All right. So this is the defense strategy. Attorneys argue that Horner had autism spectrum and suffered permanent brain damages for fetal alcohol exposure and childhood lead poisoning. Mark says, "I don't drink and drive anymore. I spill too much." Hilarious, Mark. All right. Emily says, "Twilight Zone. I've seen every single one of them at least 30 times each over my whole entire life. I love it." Well, that is facts because I have watched it so many times too. Definitely. My favorite one is the submarine one, something fathoms or so, and it was about they're hearing like a submarine underwater with a tapping sound. Right. And this. Yeah, because it was so crazy. That was one of the earlier ones I saw when I was starting to watch it again. And let's see. Definitely, if we played a Twilight Zone trivia game, you would you'd like that. Okay, it was 30 Fathom. 30 Fathom Grave. January 10, 1963 it aired. All right, so this was a recap about what happened today in that trial that I was talking to about a moment ago. Is the Zero interrogation. Yes, that was a good one. That was a good one, Sawgirl. Um, was one with Angie's Moorhead, and she was fighting an alien that landed on her roof, and it was tiny little spaceship. The other one was where the tiny people were at the Christmas barrel, and they didn't know they were donations of toys or some sort. That was a weird one. Mark says that is my family's mountain on screen. Gift it to the crown. Good night, Nan. Thank you for coming here tonight. All right. So, oh yes, that one was definitely the cool with the woman fighting the little tiny aliens, and there was no sound. There was just her, stressing out and trying to fight them, and they were just all over the place. And that one was really wild. It's mysterious because you don't really know what was or what wasn't. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, what is she saying, or what, where is it at? It just, there's mystery to it, like, while you're watching it happen. And the barrel one, they didn't know that they were donations of toys or some sort. That was a weird one. Oh, I think that one was very mysterious because you don't really know what the purpose of it is. That was kind of like Toy Story. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely creepy. And you had the bagpiper, you had the ballerina, you had all these different, people in there that were explaining that. Like, and I want to go down this rabbit hole of some of this because I'm curious about what the hypotheticals are with this one. Let's see. It was 5 characters in search of an exit. All right, so 5 strategies: the army major, a clown, a ballet dancer, a hobo, and a bagpiper find themselves trapped in a giant featureless metal cylinder with no memory of how they got there. Yes, yes. When the doll fell on the ground, it was like it's very much like Toy Story, and maybe that was inspiration for Toy Story. A lot of those old shows, Emily, I saw and I thought like they were see what this is. Just trying to capture a rope. Okay. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. I am my pleasure. Glad to do that. And it's a beautiful mountain. Beautiful mountain. And the debate. So the characters do not feel hunger, thirst, or cold. They can even feel pain. Conflict. They debate their existence with theories ranging from being in hell or a limbo or being on another planet. The cynical clown mocks their situation while determined Major leads an escape attempt. They were able to eventually figure out what exactly lied beneath, and the twist explained. The perspective shifts to the outside world, revealing that the characters are actually dolls. Oh, there's a lake on top of it. Let's see. Whoa. That's cool. I never knew anything about that before. That's pretty cool. All right. Yes. Yes. On that mountain. Correct. And Emily says, "Oh, that is pretty mountain. So pretty. Last September went to Mount Shasta camping, and it was nice there too." Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, that's pretty. That looks cool too. All right, so metal. Oh yeah, this is something we see pre Toy Story. Many critics note that the episode serves as a darker, existential precursor to the Toy Story franchise, exploring what happens when toys have sentience but no purpose. Rod Serling's closing narrative offers a hopeful note for the holiday season. While they are currently unloved, they will find their true purpose and meaning once they are in the arms of a child. Inspiration. The episode's title premise inspired by Luigi Pardelio, who played the sixth character and the author of Jean Paul's No Existence. Yeah, the hypothesis about it being a Toy Story seems to be the whole water, where the people, although no one will only know for sure the people that invented Toy Story, it does seem to be that others agree that it was a precursor for Toy Story, or that idea of Toy Story, but like a darker version of it with the kids. I mean, the toys had no purpose. Let's see what the meaning. Meaning of the five characters' search for exit, the human condition. The episode serves as an allegory for human life. Like the dolls, humans are thrown into existence without being asked, with no memory of what comes before, no certainty about what comes next. We are forced to define ourselves by our roles, such as soldier or clown, often before we even understand who we truly are. The archetypes response. The five characters represent different ways people cope with feeling trapped or uncertain in life. The major optimist problem solver refuses to accept his fate and tirelessly searches for a way out. Clowns the cynic mocks the search for meaning, believing the situation is absurd and unsolvable. The ballerina. The balances hope with the harsh reality of their situation. The hobo bagpiper represents those who surrender to their circumstances or distract themselves to avoid the pain of their reality. The episode is heavily inspired by No Exit, which famously claims that hell is other people. In context, hell isn't fire or brimstone, it's being trapped in a cycle of self doubt. You can no longer see yourself. Despite the bleakness, the ending offers a sterling glimmer of hope, and closing narrative suggests that the characters are only unloved moments with their heaven or true purpose isn't escaping the barrel, it's being found, loved by a child. Okay, so no, I've not seen that movie. So 1985, the adventure drama from film directed by John Bormat that explores the clash between modern industrialization and indigenous cultures of the Amazon rainforest. Oh, true story. Okay. Disappearance. American engineer Bill Markham moves his family to Brazil to oversee the construction of massive hydroelectric dam. During his site visit, his 7-year-old son Tommy is abducted by a mysterious indigenous tribe known as the Invisible People. The search. Refusing to give up, Markham spends the next decades searching the Amazon rainforest. Reunion. When he finally finds his son. Oh, okay, Emily, I certainly will do that. Definitely. The search. The search refusing to give up. Markham spends next decade searching the Amazon rainforest. Reunion. When he finally finds his son, 10 years later, he discovers that Tommy, now called Tom E, has, you know, is within this tribe civilization. Okay, yeah, thank you, Mark. All right, the Emerald Forest is based on a real life account of that emerged in the early 70s and sources of the 1972 Los Angeles Times by correspondent Leonard Greenwood about Peruvian man whose son was kidnapped by the indigenous tribes of the Amazon. Like the movie, the father reportedly spent 10 years searching for his son. Variety notes the film trades on this true story while adding various myths and legends. Reunion. When found the son had fully integrated into his adoptive tribe and reportedly chose to stay with them rather than return to modern society. Interesting. Another possible source is the 71 book of Wizard of the Upper Amazon, which tells the autobiographical story of Manuel Cordova, who was kidnapped as a teenager and lived with tribe for several years. Interesting. If you see these other movies with similar type of jungle adventures, is the Fitz Carlando, the 1982 a cult classic by Werner Herzog about a rubber baron who forces an indigenous tribe to hull a massive steamship over a mountain. The Mission, 1986, starring Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. This film explores the conflict between 18th century Spanish missionaries and the indigenous Guarani people. Grey Stroke, The Legend of Zarzan, Lord of the Apes, 1984. More grounded, dramatic retelling of Tarzan's story, focusing on struggles between primitive and civilized society. Lost City in 2016, a more modern film based on true story of British explorer Percy Fawcett, who vanished while searching for an ancient civilization in the Amazon in 1920s. Then there was The Medicine Man in 92, starring Sean Corney. It was a film centers. What? Okay, thank you. And this film centers on a scientist searching for a cure of cancer in the Amazon while fighting against the destructive nature of the rainforest. Okay, I will. Okay, Saw Girl, see you then. Have a nice dinner. Thank you. A Man Called Horse, 1970, is a revisionist Western starring Richard Harris that explores the themes similar to the Emerald Forest, specifically the assimilation of white men into indigenous cultures. The Capture. In 1825, an English aristocrat named John Morgan is hunting in the Dakotas when he is captured by a Sioux war party. Dehumanization. Initially, Morgan is. Oh, hello, Goose. Welcome back. Glad to see you here. Capture. In 1825, the English aristocrat named John Morgan is hunting in Dakotas when he is captured by the Sioux war party. Dehumanization. Initially, Morgan is treated as an animal, literally used as a beast of burden, and give them the name horse. He is given as a slave to the chief's mother to perform daily chores. Assimilation. The realizing that his survival and freedom depend on gaining the tribe's respect, Morgan begins to learn their language and customs. The ordeal. He eventually seeks to become a full member of the tribe, which accumulates in a grueling and famous initiation ritual called Vow to the Sun. Cultural identity. Like the Emerald Forest, the film deals with transformation of civilized man who finds a deeper sense of self and community within primitive society. Revisionist Western. Unlike many early Westerns that portrayed Native Americans as one dimensional villains, this film attempted to provide a layered, dispassionate look into Sioux culture and their belief systems. Controversy. Despite its claim of authenticity, the film faced criticism from the Native American activists and historians for casting choices. A certain story as white savior archetype, but it is what it is. And real life inspiration. The film is based on the 1950 short story of Dorothy M. Johnson. While specific characters are fictional, Johnson was known for her well-researched Western fictions and drew from historical accounts. While captives on the American frontier. And let's see, parallels to true stories. Deeply rooted in historical reality, captive narratives from 18th 19th century. The film reflects on documented experiences of white settlers who were captured, enslaved, and eventually integrated into Native American tribes. Real life parallels historical context, simulation versus rescue. Like the film's protagonists, many real captives came to prefer their adopted tribal lives over civilized society. A famous parallel is Cynthia Ann Parker, who was captured by the Comanche. The Comanche. Yeah, that one is the Comanche. I think that one is a real bad group. Let's see. Yeah, I think I learned that in class. Comanche and Comanche raids. Okay, let's see. The Comanche were experts in fighting on horseback. They drove some native bands like the Apache off their territory and were at war with nearly every nearby tribe at some point. Comanche raids in Mexico usually took place under full moon, so they could see what they were doing under the moonlight. Hey Jay, welcome to the stream. So that is, yeah, the Comanche were really bad. That's in like Texas. They have all these different cities as in a certain pathway because of that group that came there. Alright, so Ann Parker, who was captured by Comanche at age 9, lived with him for 24 years and married a chief when rescued by Texas Rangers. She repeatedly tried to escape. Yes, exactly, Goose. The Comanche family eventually dying of broken heart. OJ, we have been talking about a trial. We talked about Mount St. Helen and talk about some Twilight Zone episodes that relate to different crimes people do, like the psychology behind it. Now we're looking at types of Western survival stories of people that were captured by tribes. Mark says, does it tell you about the initiation is banned now? They put hooks through breast and lift you in the air. Wicked, I would be a scare. Oh, okay, let's see what the initiations. Let's see. Explain the initiations. Initiations. Okay, the initiation. Yeah, scared. The initiation ritual involved hooks is called Vow to the Sun. This dramatic scene is fictionalized version of a real life ceremonies practiced by the Plains tribes, most notably in the Okipa of the Mandan and Sundance of the Lakota. Ritual in the film. The movie protagonist, John Morgan, undergoes the ordeal to earn the right to marry the chief's sister and become a full member of the tribe. Oh, really, Goose? Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it. The piercing. Large bone skewers or pins are pushed through the skin of the muscles either side of the chest. The suspension. Ropes are attached to the skewers. Initiate is hoisted off the ground, hanging from the ceiling of the medicine lounge. Endurance. The initiate must hang there, often spinning or blowing an eagle bone whistle until they either lose consciousness or their flesh eventually tears away. Well, that is definitely an agonizing initiation. Historically, these rituals were far more than just testing a toughness. They were deeply spiritual acts of self-sacrifice. Spiritual offering. The initiate offers their own flesh, the pain as sacrifice for the Great Spirit to ensure the well-being of the entire tribe, such as the successful buffalo hunt or protection in war. Vision Quest. The intense pain and exhaustion were intended to induce trance-like state, allowing the participant to receive sacred vision that would guide their future as warrior leaders. Is it banned or is everyone just scared? I think it would be banned now. I don't know if different the movie I don't think is banned, but this practice probably is. I don't know if different tribes still practice this or not, but yeah, it probably would be in our modern times. Renewal. The ceremonies like the Mandan Okipa were held annually to renew the world and commemorate tribal legends, such as sustaining a great flood. The hooks seen on screen were a mix of practical FX and prosthetics. Makeup artist John Chambers famously created Planet of the Apes, created a prosthetic chest for actor Richard Harris to make the scene look terrifyingly real. Controversy. While the film claimed to be based on 19th century eyewitness accounts, many modern scholars and Americans criticize it for blending rituals from different tribes, the Mandan and Sioux, into single savage spectacle for Hollywood. All right, let's see this one right here. This is from a real tribe, this part. All right, and the Mandan tribe, also known as the Nuete, meaning ourselves or our people, is a settled agrarian nation that has lived along the Missouri River in present-day North Dakota for centuries. They are most famous for their distinctive earth lodges and Okipa ceremony, the complex ritual depicted in a man called Horse. The Okipa was the most important. Oh, hello there, Bubbles. The Okipa was the most important religious event for the Mandan, lasting 4 days and serving a renewed tribe's relationship with nature to ensure successful buffalo hunt. Ritual process. Initiates first underwent a 4 day fast without food, water, or sleep. The piercing. In a sacred medicine lodge, wooden skewers were inserted under the skin for initiates' chest or back. The suspension. The initiates were hoisted to the lodge's ceiling by ropes attached to the skewers. Buffalo skulls were often hung from additional skewers in their arms and legs to add to the weight. Last race. Once lowered, the men still weighted by the buffalo skulls ran around a sacred cedar post in the village center until the weights tore free from their flesh. Hello, Brig. Commander, welcome to the stream. And we have Bubbles in the background. Hope everything's well with you, Brig. And the Mandan were once powerful trading nation with a population reaching up to 15,000. However, they were devastated by European contact. Smallpox outbreaks in 1781 and 1837 reduced the tribe from thousands to 125 survivors. Relocation. The survivors joined the Hidasta and later the Arikara for safety, eventually forming the three affiliated tribes. And the Gardenson Dam. 1951, construction of the Gardenson Dam flooded over 150,000 acres of their best agricultural land, displaced 8% of the tribe members. Mark said, hey, the tribe in Africa, you get to a certain age and you can't come back until you get a lion's tail. How would you do it without stealing your uncle's one? Yeah, that definitely is an obstacle course that they have to memorize because they will know for certain that their uncle's one is well documented, so they would know. Right. The Masai people of Kenya and Tanzania. The tradition that are described is the Alamaio, the ancient rite of passage where young men, the Morani, or warriors, provide their courage by hunting a lion with only a spear and shield. While the hunt itself was primarily test of the lion's tail, most prestigiously trophy of the ritual. After successful, the warrior who first struck was often awarded the mane, while the others who got the tail was highly honored. The tail was often softened and decorated to intricate bed works by the women of the tribe. These trophies were kept as in the warrior camp. A bunch of wandering tribesmen out there that never came back with a tail. Right, right. There's a will, there's a way. The tail was stretched, softened, and often decorated with that. Okay, warrior wood, a warrior hood. These trophies were kept in the Manyata warrior camp throughout their years of service. As protectors of the tribe, they served as permanent mark of the man's transition from boy to revered warrior. Today, the tradition has changed significantly due to conservation efforts to save Africa's lion population. A new right is the request of tribe elders. The Maasai Olympics were established in 2012 as cultural shifting alternatives to lion hunting, competing for medals. Instead of hunting, young men now compete in athletic events based on traditional warrior skills such as high jump, javelin for a distance, and running. Guardians of the Wild. Many former lion hunters now use their experts to track skills, work with conservation groups like the Big Life Foundation to protect lions they once hunted. That is very fascinating. It's definitely a rough terrain to be in, and these initiations of these tribes is extremely out there. And I do think that hard times make strong men. Like they really take that to the next level. So they want their tribal people to be strong and tough, especially if people are fighting each other all the time. And there's in the elements in the terrain, you want them to be strong and not weak. Okay, let's go here. Uh, well, hyenas I think are quite difficult to scare, but I believe that it can be done. And the thing about those hyenas is that they laugh at everything. Everything's funny to them, so it'd be hard to scare them off. But we could definitely maybe ignore their jokes and be able to scare them off so they don't get the tail. I think it definitely can be done. It's just it's bloody difficult. Because a lot of times, Mark, I was just thinking that with hyenas, there's people on YouTube. There's YouTube shorts of people that have pet hyenas, and they're very interesting. Very interesting. And yeah, some people have them as pets. You know, it's like a leopard looking dog. It's quite intriguing. I've not seen that one, but that sounds wild. I didn't see that one. I saw it was like someone had it in his house, and it was just kind of he was petting it. That's the one that I saw. Yeah. So let's see about fun facts about them. Stomachs of steel. The hyena's stomach acid is almost the strongest of any mammal, with a pH as low as 1.5. This allows them to dissolve bone, teeth, and even hooves. Because their diets are rich in calcium, eating bones, their droppings turn into chalky white color once they dry. Hello, Bubbles. Let's see if you need something in a moment. Let's see if that's what you wanted. Okay. The superior intelligence. In problem solving tests, hyenas have outperformed chimpanzees by working together in silence using only one verbal cue. Individual spots. Similar to human fingerprints, every spotted hyena has unique coat pattern used by researchers to identify them in the wild. Marathon runners. Unlike big cats that are sprinters, hyenas are unlike big cats that are sprinters, hyenas are endurance of hunters that can trot at 6 miles per hour for miles without trying to reach the top speeds of 37 miles per hour. We'll be back in a second. Okay. All right. So looks like the cat is laying down now. All right. Born ready. Hyena cubs are pre-social. They are born with their open a full set of teeth and enough coordination to start fighting for dominance within minutes of birth. Extreme motherhood. Hyena milk has the highest protein content for any terrestrial carnivore. Mothers invest in more energy per cub than almost any other land predator. Counting skills. Hyenas can count by listening to the vocalizations of rival groups. They will only choose to attack if they can tell their own clan has numerical advantage. The play dead defense. While spotted hyenas are aggressive, their smaller cousins, the stripped hyenas, will often play dead when threatened by larger predators to avoid fights. Oh, unless you give him an Uzi, okay. Right, right, exactly. Yeah. Where he said Ed the dumb hyena in Lion King, LMAO. Yeah, I remember. I'm keep thinking about that line from Lion King, and he was just like doi doi. Yeah, I remember that. And the hyenas were trying to mess with the lion. Yeah. And they have the counting skills. Hyenas can count by listening to the vocalizations of rival groups. They will only choose to attack if they can tell their own clan has numerical advantage. The play dead defense. While spotted hyenas are aggressive, their smaller cousins, the stripped hyenas, will often play dead when threatened by larger predators to avoid a fight. All right, history and myths. Ancient domestication. The hieroglyphs suggest that ancient Egyptians may have tried to tame the hyenas, though practice likely didn't last due to the animal's scavenging diet. Let's see. How did they? Let's see. No, that's not what I want to say. Wrong one. Tail between their legs. All right. Unlike their bone-crushing cousins, the Aardwolf, the Aardwolf, is the specialized insectivore that has traded raw power for a very long, sticky tongue. Diet. A single Aardwolf can eat up to 200,000 termites in a single night. The technique: they don't dig into mounds like ant anteaters. Instead, they use their broad, sticky tongue to lick termites right off the ground. Surface of the mound. Let's see what I think of the dog whisperer, Caesar. Okay, Caesar Millen, widely known as the Dog Whisperer, is a Mexican-American dog trainer famous for his calm, assertive energy philosophy. His original show ended in 2012. Where he is now, Caesar continues to train both dogs and humans through various platforms. workshop. He is hosting a fundamentals training workshop as dog psychology center in California through April to May 2026. Immersion retreats. In June 2026, he scheduled for a full immersion week that Rhythmia Life Advancement Centers in Costa Rica. Television. Following the original Dog Whisperer, he started the Caesar 901 recently. Better Human, Better Dog. Which aired through 2024. Core philosophy: the way. Caesar's method focuses on human role of the pack leader. He teaches the dog's need for three things in a specific order: the exercise to drain physical energy, discipline, establishing clear boundaries and rules, affection, given only when the dog is in a calm, submissive state. There's some controversies. Let's see. Animal behaviors often criticize the dominance theory as outdated, arguing that his physical corrections can lead to learned helplessness rather than true rehabilitation. In 2021, he faced a high-profile lawsuit for gymnast who claimed his pit bull attacked her. The case was settled out of court in 2022. Now, think about some of these. Some dogs might already attack anyway, but yeah, that is interesting. Around 2010, Millen survived a self-deletion attempt following the death of his famous dog, Daddy, and difficult divorce that led him to losing the rights of the Dog Whisperer name for several years. He definitely has been through some struggles, and he seems like he has a lot of fans, and his methods seem to work, and no one's going to like everybody. And yeah, I admire his, that he's his resilience to still, and also luck that he's also here, still alive today. I think he's very interesting, and if he can improve, if he's doing something wrong, he can maybe improve something he's doing wrong, or if he's doing something right, he just can keep doing what he's doing, and that is really messed up what he went through. Okay, let's see. Yes, I'm the banded puppy whisperer. Exactly, Bird. Facts. New Zealand is home to the world's most spectacular waterfalls, ranging from the thundering Huka Falls to the skyscraping Sutherland Falls. The Sutherland Falls, often cited as New Zealand's most spectacular, it stands at 580 meters, 1,904 feet, fed by Lake Quill, and the water drops three massive tiers. It is accessible via Milford Track, 90-minute sidewalk, or through scenic helicopter flights from Milford Sound. Huka Falls, known for its Mark, I agree. Dogs do require a lot of maintenance, and walking them is another thing, and they like to um, go into play fetching. I mean, there's more to dogs than just that, but yeah, they definitely are a lot to keep up with. Indeed. There is the Hookah Falls, known for power rather than its height. More than 2,200, no, 222,000 liters of water surge through a narrow canyon every second. The vibrant turquoise water is major attraction. The Pura Kayu Nui Falls, one of the most photographed falls in the country. This three-tiered cascade is just a short 5-minute walk through the lush rainforest. Maricopa Falls, often called the most impressive of the North Island due to its massive volume. Those of 35 near falls are easily reached via 10-minute forest trail. The Marienga, the the Bridal Veil Falls, a stunning 55-meter plunge waterfall. Multiple viewing platforms offer different perspectives, including a bottom platform, rechargeable by approximately 260 steps. Regional heights, the Wangari Falls, a 26-meter current waterfall located remarkably within the Wangari city limits. Located in Tongariro National Park, this 20-meter fall runs over ancient volcanic cliffs. The North Island, tallest of the 135 meters, offer sweeping views over the Waikato region from the top lookout. Devil's Punch Bowl Falls, towering 131-meter drop in Authors Pass National Park. McLean Falls, often considered the South Island's most beautiful. These tired falls are 40-minute return walk to the Catalans. Oh, okay. Okay, certainly would like to go there one day. Thank you, Mark. Well, that's very nice. Very nice. And water is very enchanting. Oh, and he got this thing in the mountain right there. It's a monkey tiki thing. Absolutely cool to see one day. Okay, and let's see this. Lake Taupo, New Zealand's largest lake and essentially an inland sea, located in the heart of the North Island. It is not a typical lake, but a volcanic caldera, a massive crater formed by some of the most violent eruptions in Earth's history. The geological origins. The supervolcano lake sits in the caldera of the Taupo volcano, which considered one of the world's most active supervolcanoes. The Oryuan Nui eruption, around 26,500 years ago. A colossal eruption ejected enough magma to cause the several hundred square kilometers of land to collapse, creating the hole filled with water. The Hatepe eruption, occurring around 232 CE. This was the most violent eruption in the world in the last 5,000 years. It was so powerful that records from Rome and China noted red skies at the time. Volcano is still active and monitored closely by GNS Science. Physical dimensions. Surface area approximately 616 square kilometers, roughly the size of Singapore. Depth. It has an average depth of 110 meters and plunges 168 meters, 186 meters to its deepest point. Waikato River. The lake is a source of New Zealand's longest river and Waikato River, which drains out of the lake's northeastern corner. The lake, Tayanga, treasure. The iwi who own the lake bed and its tributaries. The name, it's a full Morai name, meaning the Great Cloak of Tai, named after the legendary Polynesian explorer who discovered the area. It's very cold. I'd assume it is. Scared. The Morai rock carvings, towering 10 meters above the water. A mine bay, these intricate carvings were created in the late 70s and are only accessible by boat or kayak. Trout fishing, known for trout fishing capital southern hemisphere. It is filled with rainbow and brown trout introduced in the late 19th century. Adrenaline sports. Popular activities include skydiving over the lake, bungee jumping into Waikato River, and jet boating to the nearby Huka Falls. Geothermal wonders. The surrounding area is famous for hot springs, bubbling mud pools, and silica terraces sites like craters on the moon. All right, so the 14th century, the Morai discovered it. According to the Nagati tradition, the region was explored by the great high priests and navigators who arrived at Te Awara canoe. Tai, often credited with naming the lake, legend says he was traveling around the eastern shores when he noticed a cliff formation that resembled his heavy flax rain cloak. He named the spot the Great Cloak of Tai, named eventually described the entire lake. NG, which was a powerful high priest who competed with Tai to claim the land. One legend says he stood on the summit of Mount Taura Hera and saw a barren dust bowl below. He hurled a totara tree into the bowl, and when it landed upside down, its branches pierced the earth, and fresh water welled up to create the lake. Dispute. The claim prioritized the priority over. We came on a spaceship. Yes. Yes. Dispute. The claim priority over the Tai NG built an altar using the intentional decayed wood and mats to make it look older than Tai's new one, eventually forcing Tai to concede ownership of the region. First sight, the first Europeans to reach this is 1830s, Lake Taupo, were likely travelers of J.S. Pollack and missionary Thomas Chapman of the 1830s. The early missionary Henry Williams visited in 1839. The area remained relatively isolated from European settlement until the late 1860s due to its rugged terrain and lack of suitability for early farming. Geological discovery formation. The lake was created approximately 25,600 years ago during the Oguranui eruption, one of the largest eruptions in Earth's history, which caused the ground to collapse into the caldera. Historic witness. A later eruption around 232 CE was so massive that it turned the skies red, as far away to Rome and China, meaning the ancient civilizations effectively discovered its existence through ash it sent the global atmosphere. All right, the rock carvings on the lake are a massive contemporary. Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a masterpiece, a work of art and craftsmanship. And the cannons and big sails. Definitely work of art and skill, especially with the technology at that time wasn't like it is now. So I definitely do agree with that. The cannons and big sails. Yeah, it's the architecture and the chiseling that went into it is very detailed. The rock carvings on Lake Taupo are a massive contemporary artwork towering 14 meters above the water. While they appear ancient, they were actually created between 1976 and 1980 by master carver Matahai Wakataka Brightwheel and a small team. Story behind the art. The project began when Brightwell's grandmother asked him to create the likeness of their ancestor, NG, on the Tatora tree to create a permanent link for their family to land. When he couldn't find the stubble tree, he saw the cliffs at May Bay and decided to use the volcanic rock as his canvas instead. The team. Brightwell led a team of four: Jono, Randall, T. Ringa, Dave, Haglund, and Steve. The process, they worked over 4 summers, often wearing only safety goggles and swimmers while sculpting by hand using chalk, string lines, and spray paint to mark the designs. Payment. The artists took no payment for their work. Their only funding came from donations at local bar to cover the scaffolding costs. Symbolism and design. The carvings. Mark, very good point. That's when the ships were made of wood and the men were made of steel. Now the ships are made of steel, men made of wood. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, what kind of wood? Let's see. Pirate ships during the golden age of piracy were built using several types of wood, each chosen for specific properties, like strength, rot resistance, or flexibility. Since pirates often used modified merchant or naval vessels, their ships featured the standard marine timbers of the 18th century. The hull, planking, and frames. Oak. Universal shipbuilding timber. Its density and strength made it ideal for structural frames and outer hull planking, as it could withstand the impact of waves and even cannonballs. Masts. The spars, pine, and spruce. Yeah, nowadays people have the drones and stuff to use. Yeah, I know. It's going to technology. China made this thing out of. They made a kung fu robot out of AI. The masts and sparse pine. The spruces were preferred for their uprigging. These softwoods provided the necessary height and flexibility to bend under heavy winds without snapping. Keel. Elm was often used for backbone of the ship because it resists the splitting and remains remarkably durable when permanently waterlogged. Decking teak was a rare but highly prioritized wood for decks due to its natural oils, which makes it extremely resistant to rot and teredo marine worms. Pirates would often obtain tech by capturing vessels originally built for the East India Company. That's pretty cool. Regional strategic variations. Bermuda cedar. Pirates operating near the Caribbean all favored ships made of Bermuda cedar. This wood was lighter than oak, allowing for a faster vessels that could easily navigate shallow reefs and evade larger naval hunters. Live oak. In North America, live oak became famous for extreme hardness of the U.S. Constitution, nicknamed Old Ironside, featuring live oak frames so strong that cannonballs were seen to bounce off of them. Oh, okay, understood, Mark. Exactly. Yeah. No matter the wood, all pirate ships required constant maintenance to stay afloat. Gaps between planks were sealed with oakum, hemp rope, fibers, New Zealand wood. Yes. Okay, thanks. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, exactly. Facts. All right. So let's see. Oh, got those. Let's see. Most famous pirate ships. Golden Age of piracy saw some of the most formidable and legendary vessels ever to sail. Most of these ships were not built for piracy. Instead, they were captured merchant or naval vessels that were heavily refitted and extra cannons and larger crews. Queen Anne's Revenge, the flagship of Edward Blackbeard of Teck, originally a French slave ship named the La Concorde. Blackbeards captured it in 1717 and upgraded it to 40 cannon warship. Its wreck was discovered off North Carolina in 1996. All right, the Wida, commanded by Black Sam Blamey. This former slave ship was incredibly fast and carried a massive fortune in gold and silver. It sank in a storm off the Cape of Cod in 1717 and is currently the only full authenticated Golden Age pirate shipwreck ever discovered. Royal Fortune. This was the name given to several flagships by Bartholomew Black, Bart, and Roberts, the most successful pirate in the era. His largest Royal Fortune was 40-gun frigates that could match the Royal Navy warships in battle. Fancy. The ships of Henry Avery, who led a mutiny to seize the vessel originally named the Charles II, used to pull off one of the largest heists in pirate history against Grand Mogul's treasure ship in the Indian Ocean. Adventure Gallery. No, the Adventure Galley, a unique hybrid ship captained by William the Kid. It was designed with both sails and oars, allowing it to move in calm winds. Kidd eventually abandoned and burned it in Madagascar after it became too leaky. The Revenge, a 10-gun sloop, was owned by Stead Bonnet, gentleman pirate. Uniquely, Bonnet is one of the few pirates who actually purchased his ship legally before turning to piracy. Skeletons in the closet. Oh, interesting. All right, let's see what this is about. Right, skeletons of the closet is an idiom. Documentary. That's what I have to say. But anyway, for those that are curious, the skeleton, not what Mark was talking about, but something separate. A hidden, shocking, or embarrassing secret that person family goes to great lengths to keep concealed. And let's see. And thank you for the documentary, by the way. So, Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge had 40 cannons, and he blocked Charleston Harbor, the Whydah Galley, Sam Bellamy, 28 cannons, captured over 50 ships in 1 year. Royal Fortune, Black Bart up to 42, captured hundreds of prizes. Fancy, Captain Henry Avery, looted the Ganji Swai treasure. Alright, let's see pirates that buried their treasure. Well, so a lot of the pirates burying treasure is kind of fictional, but there is an account of it. William Kidd is the only pirate from the Golden Age confirmed to have actually buried his treasure. Most pirates prefer to spend their plunder immediately on rum, women, and freedom. Captain William the Kidd. Most famous historical burier of treasure, Kidd did so as an insurance policy when he was pressured by authorities. Gardiner's Island. In 1699, Kidd buried a cache of gold, silver, jewels, and private island off Long Island, New York. Recovery. Most of this treasure was worth roughly 10,000 British pounds at the time. Was quickly recovered by Governor of New York and used as evidence to hang Kidd in 1701. Yikes. Unfound loot. Before his death, Kidd claimed to have hidden more treasure worth 40,000 pounds, sparking a centuries-long hunt across the U.S. East Coast and the Caribbean. Sir Francis Drake. Yeah, he was a good one. Primarily a privateer, he committed one of the earliest documented acts of burying loot on land. Arg. Yes, Mark. In the desert of lies, there is a grain of truth. Very well said. Panama Raid. After raiding a Spanish mule train in 1573, Drake's crew entered several tons of gold and silver on the Panamanian coast because it was too heavy to carry through the jungle. Immediate retrieval. Unlike the legends of the lost treasure, Drake left guards at the site and retrieved the loot as soon as his ship arrived. Notable myths and legends. Several other famous pirates are linked to the buried treasure of these stories. Edward Blackbeard famously claimed his treasure was hidden in a place known only to him and the devil, while his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was found in 1996. Its content only a handful of gold dust, leaving the location of his hidden stash a mystery. Black Sam Bellamy. Legend says he buried treasure near the Miches River, but his massive fortune actually went down with his ship in the Whydah Galley of Cape Cod in 1717. Oliver Levasseur, the Buzzard. The rumor has it that he threw a cryptogram into the crowd as his execution in 1730, claiming it led to treasure worth millions, and Seychelles. Modern historians largely view the 20th century fiction. Why burying the treasure was rare. Short careers. The average pirate career lasted 2 to 3 years, so they focused on living hard and fast. Perishable loot. Most treasure wasn't gold, it was traded goods like tobacco, sugar, and fabric that would rot if buried. Equal shares. Plunder was typically divided immediately among the crew, making it difficult for a captain to bury a collective hoard secretly. Real treasure maps and leads. The Swaro map in 1850s. A sailor reportedly purchased the treasure map in Tahiti that led him to an atoll and Cook Islands, where he successfully dug up a box of coins. Turin Papyrus. This 3,000-year-old Egyptian map is the world's first geological map. The 1980s archaeologists used to locate lost ancient gold mines near Luxor. Southhack's wreck map. In 1717, Captain Cyprian Southhack created a massive map of the. Wait, this is what I want to see. The Atoll map, 1850s. A sailor reportedly purchased a treasure map in Tahiti that led him to an atoll of Cook Islands, where he successfully dug up a box of coins. The Turin of Papyrus, 3,000-year-old Egyptian map, the world's first geological map of 1980s archaeology used it to locate lost ancient gold near mines near Luxor. Southhack's wreck map, 1717. Captain Cyprian Southhack created a map of the Whydah Galley wreck site. Explorer Barry Clifford used this 260-year-old map in 1984 to find an actual ship buried under just 14 feet of water. The Forest Fen poem. Not a traditional map, but a 24-line poem in the memoir that acted as a modern-day treasure map, led the searchers to a chest filled with 1 million in gold and jewels in Wyoming in 2020. The Wide Galley is the world's only fully authenticated golden age of pirate ships, and its recovery is still active today. Massive wealth. The ship was carrying plunder from over 50 captured vessels when it sank, including an estimated 4.5 to 5 tons of silver, gold, and jewelry. The smoking gun. Ultimate proof of the identity was a ship's bell recovered in 1985, which was clearly inscribed with the Waihada galley of 1716. Coins, thousands of silver pieces of 8, and gold doubloons, often found fused into hard concentrations. The Akin gold work, over 400 pieces of gold jewelry and ornaments from West Africa, reflecting the ship's origins of the slave trade. Child's belongings, a tiny leather shoe and silk stocking belonging to John King, the youngest known pirate, roughly 10 years old. Skeletons. In 2021, the drivers discovered 6 skeletons of encased in mineral formations at the site. Must have been good brotherhood on board. Good brotherhood on board. Otherwise, you're over the side with a cannonball taped to your waist so you don't suffer too much. Sad but true. Cool song. Yeah, yeah. Definitely good brotherhood. Very good brotherhood under those times, indeed. Yeah. During the golden age of piracy, sails were almost exclusively made from heavy, durable canvas woven from natural plant fibers. Since pirates primarily used the repurposed merchant or naval vessels, their sails were identical to the standard maritime textiles of the 18th century. Linen flax, the European classic. Most common material for high quality sails, it was strong, dried relatively quick, and was traditional choice for the British, French, and Spanish navies. Hemp, a go-to for the extreme strength and durability. It was roughly 3 times stronger than jute and highly resistant to saltwater rot, making it a favorite heavy-duty sails and rigging. Cotton, while it became the standard in the late 19th century, it was less common for pirates. It was lighter and easier to sew, but strict and absorb water like a sponge, leading to the rot of not careful maintained. colors, and preservations. Contrary to the pop culture, pirates rarely used black sails, and dye was expensive and could weaken the fabric. Natural shades. New sails were typically a pale cream or off white. Tan barking. To prevent rot and mildew, many working vessels treat it with their sails with tan bark, a mixture of tree bark that and fat, which turned them a reddish brown or brick color. Weathering over time, exposure to the sun and salt spray would bleach the sails, making them appear almost pure white. I didn't know that. I thought they were just naturally white. So it became that makes sense though. They became white because of being in the sun so much. Sails weren't a single sheet of fabric, but were constructed from multiple narrow strips of canvas, often 24 inches wide. The stitched together to distribute a massive stress off the wind. Further prevent tearing, and they were edged with hemp bolt ropes. Yeah, what was the specialized tools? Let's see about yes. A salesmaker was one of the most critical specialists on the ship, tasked with constant upkeep of the vessel's engine. Its massive canvas sails repairs at the sea required a specialized ditty bag of tools designed for this. Sails maker's palm. A heavy leather glove, which dimpled metal stud or anvil positioned against the palm, it acted as a high powered thimble, or allowing the sail maker to use their whole hand to push thick needles. Oh, nice, nice. This is what I say when I greet my mates. R with a fist pump. Facts. That's awesome. It's definitely I'd say, a very fantastic way to greet your mates. Indeed. Something I need to start doing. And triangular needle. Unlike round domestic needles, these were triangular with dull corners. The shape allowed them to spread the canvas fibers rather than cutting them, maintaining the sail's structure integrity. Bench hook, a swivel mounted an iron hook used to hold the canvas taut against the workbench, freeing both hands for stitching. Seam rubber, a chisel-shaped tool made of hardwood or bone. It was used to flatten seams or rub a sharp crease into the canvas before sewing. Fins, a marlin spikes, pointed hardwood or iron tools used for splicing ropes, opening the eyes of the rigging, and shaping gormets. Beeswax. Every stitch was pulled through a block of beeswax to lubricate the thread and provide an extra layer of waterproofing against the saltwater rot. Preferred types of pirate ships. The sloop, the most popular pirate vessel. It was fast, featured a single mast, and had a shallow draft that allowed a hide in covers where large warships would run aground. The schooner, favored for the speed. One of my jobs when I was a deck boy was polish the bell sounds rude, I know. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. The bell is very important. It rings and dings, to know what's going on. Yeah. That's fine. The Brig Knight, a two-mast hybrid that carried more cannons than sloop but remained more measurable than full-size frigate. The only most successful pirate captains like Blackbeard used these large three-masted ships. They were essentially floating fortresses capable of carrying up to 40 cannons. All right. On naval ships. A ship's bell is one of the most revered objects on naval vessels, serving as a functional tool for timekeeping and safety, as well as a soul of the ship in maritime tradition. Before modern clocks, bells were used to mark time during 4-hour watch, the 30-minute cycle. Sailors used 30-minute hourglass each time the sand ran out. The bell was struck. The pattern: 1 strike for the first hour, 2 for the first hour, and so on, until 8 bells signaled the end of the watch. Groups of 2. To make counting easier in rough weather, bells are struck in pairs. Fog signals. In low visibility ships that anchor rig the bell rapidly for 5 seconds every minute to warn nearby vessels to prevent collisions. Fire alarms. A rapid ringing for the at least 5 seconds signals a fire, this often followed by 1, 2, and 3 distinct strikes indicate the forward amped ships or aft number 3. Arrivals. Departures bells are used for boat gongs to announce arrival or departure. High-ranking officers, dignitaries, number of rings and matches, the number of side boys. The visitor is entitled to 8 bells for 4-star admiral. 8 bells of death. In naval obituaries, 8 bells is an euphemism for a sailor's death, signifying they have finished their final watch. Baptism. It is centuries-old tradition that baptize children of crew members using the inverted ship's bell as baptismal font. Child's name is often engraved on the inside of the bell afterward. There was something called the HMS Terror, and it was an expedition by the British to find a trade route to Asia through Canada. And sometimes the ships would get frozen in ice, but they wouldn't really, they would thaw out. They had lots of animals and canned food to last them for a couple of years, but the crew never came back. And there were two ships that set sail. There's kind of a mystery about what happened to them, and they were seen as like astronauts. Now, the government of England had these canned. Oh, okay. Okay, Moki. Hello there. Glad to see you. And more tomorrow. Okay, Moki. Understood. We're talking about ships and Navy stuff. I'm glad that you're able to stop by for a second. Mark said 30,000 ton ship called the Union Watarua roll on roll off 300-ton ramp, 300 cars, I think. Wow, that's impressive. Definitely. And that is a very fascinating. And you see, with this ship, they were going through the Arctic because I was seeing sound effects of. I listen to ambient sound effects a lot, and when I would sometimes I watch trials, I'd listen to it, and I saw one about the HMS Terror, and I'm like, what is this? So it was a ship that got stuck in the Arctic, and it was just kind of went missing, and there was it's like a ghost ship. So there was a couple of captains that were on board both ships, and there was a monkey and a couple of animals and stuff like that. So what happened was the ship, there's allegedly some sightings from the natives a couple of times. So their ship was frozen in ice, right? But they went off and looked for things, and there was these different theories of what happened, and there's alleged cannibalism that happened too, which was very shocking. So this, the wife of the captain, she wanted to know more about it, so she kept on urging the newspapers to talk about it because the British newspapers weren't saying anything. So then they had it out there, and they sent an expedition. They lost 4 ships trying to find them, and eventually, what happened was they found some traits of what occurred. There is too much stuff on the ships, and they had to be very quick in the ice. So if you have a ship that's really heavy with all this stuff on it, it's going through this ice, it has to be really quick to go through this narrow passage. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to not even get anywhere near where they're supposed to go. So in their food, I mentioned before, the canned food was very cheaply made. It had lead all over it. So all their food was bad, and they're going to be stuck there for a couple of years. So it wasn't really a good situation to be in. So yeah. That's basically what happened to the HMS Terror. The ships eventually sunk over time because of the elements and whatever. There's some people that stayed on the ship to try to sail it to the shore, but it didn't quite get there. It just kind of sunk. Yeah. So definitely pioneers in what Mark and I were talking about was that the sailors in the past, their boats were made of wood, but the sailors are made of steel. Oh, 20-foot stabilizers. Wow. Yeah. So definitely a rough terrain. Indeed. The mission. Led by Sir John Franklin, the Terror and the HMS Erebus. That's not how it's pronounced, by the way. Because I know how to pronounce it, I just don't quite remember right now. Set out to find a map of the Northwest Passage. The Terror was a high-tech marvel of its time, featuring the iron reinforcement. The hull was double-planked with reinforced iron to survive the crushing pressures of the Arctic pack ice. Steam. Yes, indeed, comedy. Definitely a wildlife, indeed. Yeah, setting out into the unknown. It was basically the equivalent of the astronauts, of the people that were in the Apollo, etc. Yeah, and steam engine. It was fitted with locomotive engine converted to turn a screw propeller, allowing it to move even when there was no wind. Heating. It had an internal heating system keep the crew warm during the brutal Arctic winters. The fate, a descent into tragedy. The expedition was a total disaster. Every one of the 129 men involved died, were deleted. The ice trap. In September 1846, both ships became beset, trapped in thick ice near King William Island. Yeah, scared. Bermuda Triangle is scared. Death of Franklin. Sir John Franklin died in June 1847. Command of the Terror fell to Captain Francis Crozier. Abandonment. On April 22, 1848, after nearly 2 years, the ice remaining 105 men abandoned the ship. They attempted to march overland toward trading posts hundreds of miles away. Weakened by scurvy, led to poisoning from police cans, starvation, men died one by one. Inuit oral history suggests the final survivors may have resorted to cannibalism in their desperate final days. In 2016, after being lost for 168 years, the wreck of the HMS Terror was finally discovered in Terror Bay by the Arctic Research Foundation. Unlike the Erebus, which was found in a shallower, rougher water, Terror was nearly pristine condition at the bottom of the bay. Time capsule. The cold, dark, and deep water has preserved the ship so well that the window pans are still intact, and researchers believe that the captain's desk and logbooks may have contained readable information, potentially solving the mystery of what exactly went wrong. It was in Dan Summon's novel 2007. Okay, it's Bermuda Triangle. Active rudder. I know what a rudder is. I'm not exactly certain about what you're saying, but I know what a rudder is, but maybe not like what you're saying. Active rudder, I suppose. Which I know what a rudder is. Yeah, I've not heard the term active rudder though. And let's see, active rudder is a specialized steering system that features its own small auxiliary propeller mounted directly onto the rudder blade. Interesting. Unlike conventional rudder, which relies on the flow of water generated by the ship's main engine to steer, an active rudder can generate its own thrust. Interrogated propeller. A small electric motor housed inside the rudder blade drives a propeller located in a rudder's trailing edge. Independent thrust. Because the propeller is an attached rudder, the pivots the blade. This allows the crew to direct thrust at extreme angles, often up to 70 to 90, to push the stern of the ship sideways. Low speed. Conventional rudders lose effectiveness when the ship is moving slowly or stopped. An active rudder provides steering force even when the main engine is off, acting as micro speed thruster. Key benefits: precise maneuvering. It allows large vessels to navigate the light harbors or canals without the constant need for tugboats station, keeping it highly effective for dynamics. Positioning allowed researcher vessels or cable layers to remain perfectly still in one spot despite wind and waves. Emergency steering. It can serve as backup propulsion system if the main engine fails at sea. Rio Triangle, rabbit hole. Right now. The Naval Coast Guard did not recognize the real geographic danger. Alright, so Flight 19, 1945, 5 Navy torpedo bombers vanished during a training flight. The rescue plane sent to find them also vanished. Navigational error, mid-air explosions are likely culprits, but the lost at sea mystery remains iconic. The USS Cyclops, 1918. A massive coal ship disappeared with 306 people. No wreckage or SOS signal was ever found, making the single largest loss of life in U.S. Navy history, not involving combat. Mark says, one Hugabar, been over it twice, sailing ship, sunk there. The Ophis, 180 souls lost. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of souls to be lost. There was the USS Cyclops. A massive coal ship disappeared with 306 people. No wreckage or SOS signal was ever found, making it the single largest loss of life in U.S. history. The Benimi Road. Amateur explorers claim underwater rock formations near the Bahamas are remnants of a lost city of Atlantis. Some believe Atlantean crystal energy interferes with modern compasses. Electric fog. Pilot Bruce Gernon famously claimed to have flown through a time warping cloud that transported him 100 miles in a second. He coined the term electric fog to explain sudden instrument failures. Hexagonal clouds. NASA satellite imagery once showed air bombs, hexagonal clouds, creating 170 miles per hour wind gusts that act like microbursts, swatting planes out of the sky. Mark says the rudder was on a research vessel I was on with an icebreaker hull. Hard to sleep when the rudder is going. Oh, I can imagine sleeping's like impossible. Yeah. And that's very cool, by the way. But yeah, it definitely sleeping is not an easy one to do in that situation. The HMS Orpheus disaster on February 7, 1863, remains the deadliest maritime tragedy in New Zealand's history, crossing the Manukau Bar to reach the port of Whangaunga. The steam crevert ran aground on shifting sandbar, resulting in the loss of 189 lives. Wow. The tragedy explained. The Commodore William Burnett took a shortcut through the Manukau harbor to save time. Although the ship had revised 1861 pilotage guide showing the sandbar had moved north, Burnett overruled his sailing master and relied on outdated 1856 chart. Failed warnings. Lookouts on shore at Paratu Island signaled that the ship turned north to avoid Bar, but the message was either missed or ignored until it was too late. The sinking. The ship struck the bar around 1:30 p.m. in clear weather. As waves pounded the vessel, the crew climbed into the rigging. The mast eventually collapsed into sea around 8 p.m., taking over 100 men with them. Survivors. Only 70 to 71 men survived. They were rescued by the small steamer Wanga Wanga, which had been piloted out of the harbor just as the Orpheus struck. Mark says the ship hits a bridge and harbor 9 cars went over the. Wow. Yeah, and let's see. Right here. Goes by. And yeah, thank you for the went over into the drink. Yes. And let's go to this is in 1863. So yeah, the Orpheus was delivering naval stores and reinforcements from Sydney to support British forces in New Zealand wars. Maori interruption. Local Morai viewed the wreck as a retribution for a breach of Tapua sacredness. The day before, the settler had reportedly cut down the sacred Pururi tree on Puketuyu Island to use for fence posts. Memorials. Today, graves of some of the victims are marked in Cornwalls. The memorial plaques held in Settlers Museum. The Union Rotorua is a significant cargo vessel in New Zealand's maritime history, operated by the Union Steamship Company USS Co. There was also an early 19th century steamer of the same name, the Ro-Ro vessel, and most well known, the large roll-on off-roll cargo ship that served a trans-Tasman route between New Zealand and Australia. The key features: built in 1976, the BHP's Waila Steelworks, it was the largest cargo ship built for the Union Company at the time, with a tonnage of 23,962 GRT. Unique tech. It was usual for its time. It's unusual for its time, usually using turbo electric transmission and a gas turbine engine. The savior of Auckland. 1998, the ship played a famous role in the Auckland power crisis. After several major cable failures left the city in dark, the ship served as a temporary floating electrical plant to help restore power to the city's center. Now, there was a oh, Mark, that dude was a complete wussy, complete coward, indeed. He's made out of Timu plastic or from Sheen. Yeah, he. I remember the Concordia was like listing, and he went on land, and he was saying that he wanted to orchestrate the rescue from land, and the dude was like, "Bro, you got to go back on the ship," and he was like, "He's not. He's gonna, do it from the land." And yeah, it was really, the captain of the Titanic, like locked himself in a room and sunk with it. This guy, the ship, like no one really got hurt, but he got scared, and he went overshore. Yeah, I think it's definitely dishonorable. You see how people are so different from like back in the past, and now it's just the biggest joke ever, indeed. Okay, yes, we'll do that right now. The RV Rapu High, New Zealand's first proposed built ocean-going research vessel owned by the government. It served as a major scientific platform from 85 to 93, significantly advancing the country's oceanographic capabilities before being decommissioned. Previous identity. The ship was originally built in 1964 as the RV Meteor for the West German Hydrographic Institute, where it spent 22 years conducting surveys primarily in the Atlantic. Acquisition. The Department of Scientific Industrial Research purchased the 82-meter vessel in 1985 to replace the aging first Tangaroa renaming. Upon the arrival in New Zealand, it was renamed the Rap QI, which is Maori word meaning to search or to seek. Advanced features. The vessel was highly maneuverable, equipped with active rudders and bow thrusters that allow it to maintain precise position even in rough sea conditions. Laboratory space. It featured 12 specialized laboratories, including dedicated rooms for geophysics, hydrology, constant temperature research, deep sea trench, deep sea tech. It was designed for deep sea work with a 10,000-mile range and extensive winching capacity, coring the seismic profiling. Regional surveys. It conducted roughly 150 research cruises along the South Pacific, including deep sea boundary current measurements near the Tonga Trench and surveys of the west coast of New Zealand. Impact. During its service, it contributed to over 1,100 research papers and numerous charts mapping the New Zealand's Admiralty ocean currents. Okay, the Estonia. Okay. Retirement. Following the dissolution of the DSIR in 1992, the vessel was sold for scrap in 93. Alright, let's see. The sinking of the MS Estonia, September 1994, the 28th, 94, is the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in European history, claiming 852 lives. The ferry was en route from Tallinn to Stockholm when it succumbed to a violent autumn storm in the Baltic Sea. 70 days at sea. That's a long time. Sinking explained. The disaster was triggered by structural failure of the ship's bow visor. The massive 50-ton steel shell that opens upward to let cars onto the ship. Failure. Under the battering of 4-meter waves, the locking mechanisms of the visor failed. The visor eventually tore completely free, pulling the internal loading ramp open. The flood. Thousands of tons of water surged into the open car deck. Because the ferry was a roll-on, roll-off, with a wide, unpartitioned deck. Partitioned deck. The water sloshed freely from the side to side, an effect called the free surface effect, which stripped the ship of its stability instantly. The descent. The ship developed a severe list of starboard, making movements almost impossible for those inside. It vanished beneath the waves in less than an hour. Out of 989 people on board, only 137 survived. Struggle. Most victims were trapped inside the hull. Of those who made it to the outer decks, many died of hypothermia, water while waiting for rescue, at 10 Celsius. Rescue efforts. Nearby ferries arrived quickly, but were unable to launch lifeboats due to the rough seas. Most survivors were plucked from rafts by Finnish and Swedish helicopters. The new investigation. The tragedy has been haunted by conspiracy theorists for decades. A 2020 documentary revealed previous unknown 4-meter hole in the starboard hull. Multi-year joint investigation concluded that 2025 that the hole was caused by the ship's impact rocks in the seabed after it sank, not an explosion or collision. Espionage allegations. Report in 2025 suggests that NATO intelligence believes that Russia used the protected wreck site to quiet zone for underwater espionage and surveillance exercise. Oh, Mark said I learned more about the ship today than when I was on her. Oh, facts. Awesome. Awesome. Like the Titanic, Estonia rewrote the rules of seafaring. It led to Stockholm Agreement, which enforced stricter stability requirements for ferries, mandated automatic emergency beacons, and saw the widespread replacement of upward swinging bow visors with more secure side opening doors. Yeah, so that's pretty cool about the resilience of these sailors, and it's very scary. The sea is a very scary thing, and these very brave men set out on these ships and took big risks, but they, in the long term, were able to be remembered throughout history. And every mistake that was made eventually led to things getting better over time. Right. And that is the Orpheus. HMS Orpheus. Let's see. By the way, the RMS like Titanic. RMS Titanic meant Royal Mailing Ship. Shout out to the spaceship cats. Okay. Okay, and let's go here. This way. By the way, this is the planet Serpo behind me. Right. So now, at this point in time, we'll be wrapping it up, but I'll be doing the garden live in a little bit later. Mark, this has been a very pleasant conversation about the ships. I really have enjoyed it very much. I've learned a lot from you. And also, researching it, learned a lot. We'll definitely be doing this again. All right. So, thank everybody for watching, listening, and lurking. See you, some of you on the garden live, or some of you tomorrow. And peace.